Hey, this is Politics with Lar. Politics is an undercurrent of everything that goes on in this world, whether if it turns into a war, social upheaval, economic collapse, or whether if there's peace. Everything has to do with politics. We're going to look at it, analyze it, and connect the dots. Hey, this is Politics with Laura. I got a really, really good one for you today. Okay. Talking about immigration, specifically people coming from Venezuela. Now, I've heard, seen articles about Venezuelan refugees. I did a video maybe about 2 months back showing that they weren't refugees. They just were not qualifying for the positions that are opening up there. And you're going to say, oh, that is a horrible thing to say. No, no, go back over the video and take a look at it. And 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 the jobs with the qualifying, it's more so high tech. Now Venezuela has schools, universities, many things that people need in order to be successful in the country in which they're in. Let me just lay this out for you. I live in a sanctuary city, and there are many Venezuelans that are here, and I talk to them. And what they always tell me is this: I'm here to work. I want to find a job. And then there are some that have families, and they would say that, well, you get free education here. So I'm asking them, so what are you going to do? Are you going to go to school? The mother would always say, no, I'm not going to go to school. And then I'm like, well, how are you going to learn the language? And what it hasn't failed yet. I'm told they say to me that my child is going to teach me English. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do for employment? The government gives me money. I'm like, what? What? They give you money. And they pulled out a food stamp, an EBT card. They get money from Giant to where they go to the Giant to the customer service section and they go get money. They just count their money out and go about their way. I'm like, ain't this a blip? But that's not where I want to stay. I want to show you something. I want to show you something because me telling you, you're going to say politics for Lauren, you're making that up. You're just being, I couldn't believe somebody called me a racist. I was done. I'm like, really? I'm a racist for pointing something out that's true, but I'm a racist. All right. Maduro's, uh, Maduro remains Venezuelan's president 2 years after the US declared him illegitimate. Now, Trump called him illegitimate. Okay. 2 years after the Trump administration government took a hold or a bold stance when it declared that it was no longer recognizing Nicolas Maduro as a legitimate president of Venezuela. Inside, the U.S. followed more than a dozen countries, including the European Union, backed by Juan Guaido, in a little unknown opposition leader of South Africa or South American countries, interim leader. But where is it? Earlier this year, Maduro secured an even tighter grip on power, resuming control over the Venezuelan Congress, the only wing it did not domineer following the election in December. And it goes on. Now, Trump did call him illegitimate. He did call him illegitimate, and I think that, in my opinion, he really had no right doing that. But, and I gotta say, but because I'm an independent, so I criticize both Democrats and Republicans alike. Criticize them both. But this is the reason why, and I'm glad I found it. China. This is the reason why Trump called Venezuela an illegitimate, or Maduro illegitimate, because he has sided with Trump, or not Trump, that he has sided with China, not only China, but Russia. And I'm going to show you pictures showing that Maduro was not only in China, but also in Russia, shaking hands and making deals. But let's first take a look at this, and then we're going to get back to the immigration part. Quite interesting. China seen backing digital authoritarianism in Latin America. Now, here, before we even get into it, the world has turned digital, and you have to build the infrastructure and have the people to run what they need done. To where even if you go to a local grocery store, it's more than just a Visa, MasterCard, more than just cash, because right now fiat money is disappearing all over the world to where it will not be used. Now, because it's China, Xi Jinping, they call it authoritarianism. So you got to keep in mind of who's writing it and just look at it for what it is and see through it. All right, having said that here, can we make this bigger? All right. Chinese technology and expert is making it possible for Venezuela and Cuba to exercise suffocating control over digital communication in the two countries, according to the insider accounts of several international investigations. Venezuela and Cuba do more to block internet access than any other country or any other government in Latin America, according to the US-based advocacy group. Freedom House, which has documented what it describes as digital authoritarianism in the regime since 2018. Whoever begins that privacy exists in Venezuela through email, communist communication, Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, in writing, all of these tools are totally subject to government intervention, said Anthony. Now, let's keep in mind the United States and Twitter, to where the Democrats used the FBI to have Twitter to censor another group, censor the conservatives, to where you could not say anything, and then if so, your account was taken away. So you're calling Venezuela and what they're doing authoritarianism, but when it's you, it's being politically correct. Am I right with what I just said? Very interesting. Now, let me see where else I want to get to. Okay, Daquin said China's role in recent years has been providing technology and technical assistance to help Venezuelan government process large amounts of data and monitoring people whom the government considers enemies of the state. And for those of you, before you getting ready to say, oh, blah, 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 Edward Snowden, okay? They have television cameras, system, fingerprints, facial recognition, algorithm system, the internet, and conversations, he said. And this is everything that the United States already does. This country has been doing this for a long time, and it's to the point that we don't even know it. Look, pretty soon, the FBI and the CIA are going to be out on getting unemployment checks because the social media We give all the information away. They don't need anybody there saying, hey, who's that person over there? They're related to, we give all the information to them. But however, Venezuela is doing things a little bit different. However, now let's stop and take a, wait a minute. Let me just do one more thing. Okay, several Chinese technology companies are active in Venezuela, including ZTE, Huawei, I'm messing that up, and the Chinese National Electronic Import-Export Company. The latter was sanctioned in 2020 by the US Treasury Department on the grounds that it works in Venezuela had helped the government and President Nicolas Maduro restrict the internet service and conduct digital surveillance and cyber operations against the political opponents. And that's what we do. Didn't the Democratic Party, or shall I say at that time President Obama, do that to Donald Trump? And then claimed that it was Russia or Russian waters that did it? It's kind of hard to call the kettle black when you're the kettle. You know? Let me see. Sophisticated. Okay. But what I would like to tie this into is this. One thing that I would like to say is that now we have a lot of people from Venezuela who are leaving and coming to the U.S. and they are considered refugees. Really? Are they really refugees? Or now I'm hearing certain rumors circulating. I'm not saying this is true or if it's false. I'm just saying what's being circulated. You may have heard this. But I'm going to dig in to see if I can find anything backing this up. And I said this the previous video when I said that Venezuela may be doing what Fidel Castro did in the 1990s to Bill Clinton. You can't make this up. Down in Florida, you had the Cubans in Florida were saying that Fidel Castro was a communist. He was doing horrible things to the Cuban people, and that we should that this country should open up its arms to accept the Cubans to have them come. But what Fidel Castro did, he goes, "Oh, okay, you want the Cubans? I'll give them to you." The Cubans over here, the United in Florida said, "Yes, we want our people. We want our people." What he did was he opened up the insane asylums, he opened up the jails and emptied it out and put everyone that wanted to leave on the boat and bring them over to Florida. And all of a sudden, they were like, this is not who we were talking about. We weren't talking about these people. No, we were talking about the ones that were not in jail, the ones that were not in an insane asylum. We weren't talking about them. We were talking about the other Cubans. Now, the Venezuelans who are coming, you're seeing a spike in hospitalizations, and also you're seeing a spike in more mental health people down in that area at the border. That's what they're saying. I'm not sure if that's being done, but however, it's interesting. Now, one thing that the Venezuelans, people that are coming here, they're saying I'm a refugee, but they're never saying anything about China or Russia being in Venezuela. And that there is a technological change going on in the country, not only with the technology, however, there is more of a deeper understanding, or you have to have more advanced education, or having more skills. Oh goodness, what's it called? Not vocational. Well, okay, a different skill set that you should seek out, which they are not doing. Now, the same thing's going over here in the United States. So they're going from Venezuela to the United States. So I ask you this. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions for you to simply think about it. And if you want to respond in the comment section, please do so. And that is, the Venezuelans who are coming up here, are they the people that came out of the jails and the psychiatric wards? Are these the people, or are these the people that did not further their education for whatever reason, and felt that whatever the reasons were, they just decided, let me go ahead and go to the US, knowing that I don't know the language, I don't have a place to live, but I know Joe Biden said, come on up here and I'll take care of you, because Venezuela, the government took care of the people, not the people takes care of the government. And that's how the governments work. If you want a functioning government, you have to pay into it. So socialists do things differently than capitalism does. So they're going to have a rude awakening for a moment. For a moment, it's going to be smooth sailing, and then the government's going to say, you got to do something. Or, or do they work for China? Just a question, just a simple question. Just a question. And here's a picture of Maduro with Xi Jinping in China. So it is a simple thought. It's just my thought. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying it's something to question, because we have a lot of Venezuelans coming in record number. And if you go and watch the Senate committee, to where they talk about immigration and the amount of people coming in, and President Biden lacks the laws or the executive order to lax the immigration policies, to where people can come in easily come in. And then you have sanctuary cities who are giving people, like in DC, Maryland, not Virginia, Philadelphia, New York, um, over in California, the places around the United States, to where you can come to this country, you come through, especially if you're illegal, come here illegally, you'll even get more, and they do. You come here illegally, you automatically get an ID, you get a government insurance card, you get food stamps, and they give you a place to live, while there are people that are homeless Americans that paid into the government, and the government is not doing more for the actual citizens than for people that are coming here and have not put one penny into the government. You can get mad at me. You can call me a conservative, whatever it is, because I'm not. I'm a liberal. But they changed the definition of a liberal, because it's for limited government. Now they changed it to something completely different, but I'm also independent. I'm an independent liberal. But just something to think about. Just think about it. But on that note, what do you think?